Hey, I'm DaniSurname, and lights, letters, breakfast type snacks. Today I'm going to be reviewing Stranger Things. Swoosh, swoosh, ding! Pretty much everybody I know with a Netflix account told me to watch Stranger Things, that I would love it and that I would love the music in it. So I watched it and I loved it. You guys were right. This is going to be an overwhelmingly positive review. For the first couple of minutes, this review is going to be spoiler-free. After that, there will be a spoiler line, and you will know that everything is going to be spoiler-heavy and spoiler-integrated. I heavily advise going into this show knowing nothing, because that's how I went into it, and I was very much rewarded for that. But if you do want to stick around, or you've seen the show and you just want to know what I thought, then do watch on past the spoiler line. So the first 4 episodes of the show I consumed all in one sitting, because I was so instantly drawn into the storyline, which is absolutely a testament to the writing. During those 4 episodes, my flatmate Bryony said it must have been a good show because all she could hear was, ooh, ah, oh no! And yes, I may be a very expressive person facially and orally, but a show that can make me express quite that much in such a short amount of time is top notch. Right from the first episode, I was heavily invested in the characters and in the storyline and in the world that the writers had created. It really is a very well written show with a very compelling storyline. The later episodes I watched in 2 further sittings because I wanted to prolong that experience, and the last episode I just watched by itself. So much happened. I was expecting a grand finale and there definitely was. Overall, the show has the very high production cinematic quality that we've come to expect from Netflix. Honestly, they can do no wrong by me. Their programming is amazing. For me, the biggest things about the show are the storyline, the aesthetic and world that's been created, and the character arcs. So without saying any more than that, this is a brilliant show which I heavily recommend you go into knowing nothing other than it's set in the 80s. I kept that short and sweet, but now here comes the spoiler line. Everything beyond this will be spoiler heavy, and so to celebrate that, I'm going to start with my snacks. In Stranger Things, Elle really likes waffles. I don't like waffles, so I got pancakes. Number 1 on my list of why this is such a great show is the world and the strength of which it's been created. There's a very clear inspiration from Dungeons and Dragons and that sort of era of geek, dork, fandom experience. I tried to dress like an 80s dork today, but I think I just ended up making myself look more gay than I already do. While I didn't grow up or have my teenage years in the 80s, for me as a viewer without that actual real-world experience, the world is very convincing in Stranger Things. It very much feels like people have committed to making this seem as if we are just in the 80s when we're watching it, even though there is this very sci-fi fantasy undercurrent to it that obviously didn't actually happen in the 80s. The costuming, the sets, the general aesthetic, and the fact that Winona Ryder's in it all make you feel like you've just been dropped into the 80s with this show. It's very convincing and it's very immersive. I'm going to get through 1 pancake. The character arcs are also very good. It feels like every character within the storyline goes on an emotional journey as well as the physical monster chasing journey that they go on. Chief Hopper does the stereotypical thawing after a past trauma. Each of the kids develops in their own way. Mike becomes more of a leader but also respects the other people in the group. Dustin becomes more of the wise, loving, cute little bundle of fun that he was in the beginning. Dustin learns to control his temper but also to be able to accept that he is a hot-headed character and to be able to go with that but still trust the group. Nancy's worldview expands, Jonathan learns to be with other people, and I definitely feel like each of these characters has room to grow in hopefully a 2nd season. I'ma just go ahead and say it, this show is definitely getting a 2nd season because we've been left with so many open-ended questions. Is the Thessal Hydra going to be in season 2? Why was there only 1 monster? What is the weird slug thing that came out of that kid's mouth? For being the one that disappears, he's the only one that's forgettable. What happened to Elle? More importantly, is she dead? Is she alive? Is Chief Hopper involved with the government now? Who knows? But I want a 2nd season to find out. My favourite moments for the show were any time that the Christmas lights were used. I don't actually have any Christmas lights, so I had to build this set with fairy lights. Definitely less sci-fi and more cutesy. But the scene where Winona Ryder gets to first contact her son using the Christmas lights, my heart, that was such a brilliantly directed and acted scene. Any of the scenes with the sense deprivation tanks, but especially the one near the end of the series where they're in the gym and they build a tank out of the paddling pool, and Joyce is holding on to Elle, telling her that it's going to be okay, and Elle is just going on like the headstrong hero that she is. The hug between Mike L and Dustin on the edge of the gorge was my favourite moment of the entire series. I think they could have so easily left Mike and Elle to be the ones to have that friendship romantic moment, but to have Dustin involved in that as well made it about the dynamics between all of these kids rather than just the two protagonist kids. I also think Dustin represents so much more than just being another kid in this ragtag group of adventurers. He is the first to come out with any wise sentiments. He's loving and respectful of everybody else. That conversation between him and Mike about Mike and Lucas's friendship, I just had so much love and respect for him to be able to really say what friendship is at such a young age. Obviously he's not real and he's been written like that, but I think he might be my favourite character. And lastly, the fight scene between Nancy, Jonathan, what's his face? Steve and the Demogorgon was awesome. That was on point. I'm so glad that Steve got some sort of redemption. Although, you know, that whole triangle I'm not necessarily on board with. It's kind of an overplayed love, friendship, two guys, one girl kind of thing. But yes, their fight scene, the special effects used in it for the Demogorgon, the intensity, the pure action of it, that was a great scene. This show has been done amazingly and delivers a sense of 80s nostalgia that, as someone who has never been in the 80s, even I can feel from it. I think the storyline is great, I think the acting is great. I so hope they are renewed for a second season. Please, 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 please do go and watch it. Give me a boost, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.